blind date was supposed to be a carefully arranged meeting between equals, someone refined, successful, and worthy of standing beside a powerful female CEO. She arrived with quiet confidence, seated in her wheelchair, her sharp eyes and composed expression reflecting years of authority, struggle, and survival. Having lost the use of her legs in a tragic accident, she had also lost faith in surprises. Life had taught her to expect disappointment, not miracles. When the door opened, her expectations shattered instantly. Instead of a polished executive or sophisticated entrepreneur, a humble mechanic walked in. His hands were rough, his clothes simple, and the faint smell of engine oil clung to him. The contrast was almost painful. For a moment, the room felt awkwardly silent, and her heart sank. This was not what she had imagined, not even close to her. It felt like a mistake, maybe even a cruel joke. Her assistants exchanged uncomfortable glances, already preparing to intervene. Years of being judged for her paralysis had made her sensitive to how others saw her, and now she found herself doing the same, judging him in return. The gap between their worlds seemed too wide to cross. Power versus poverty, boardrooms versus garages, ambition versus survival. Yet as he smiled politely and greeted her with genuine respect, something unexpected happened. There was no pity in his eyes, no arrogance, and no fear of her status, just calm sincerity. Though she still believed the date was a disaster, a small, unfamiliar feeling stirred within her curiosity. She didn't know it yet, but the shocking first impression was only the beginning of a story that would challenge everything she thought she knew about people, strength, and love. Asterisk behind the glass walls of her empire and the sharp precision of her decisions, the female CEO carried a pain few ever noticed. The world saw a powerful, successful woman who commanded respect. But beneath that image was someone deeply wounded, physically paralyzed, and emotionally guarded. The accident that took away her ability to walk had also stripped her of trust, hope, and the simple joy of believing in people. From that day on, she built walls higher than her skyscrapers, convinced that vulnerability was a weakness she could no longer afford. Her paralysis became more than a physical condition. It was a constant reminder of everything she had lost. Pitying looks, forced kindness, and fake sympathy had hardened her heart. She learned to rely only on herself, shutting out emotions and dismissing the idea of love as something meant for others. Success became her shield. Power became her protection. Happiness, she believed, was a chapter of her life that had already ended. So, when the mechanic sat across from her, calm and unpretentious, something inside her resisted. She didn't want to believe in sincerity anymore. Yet his presence felt different. He spoke to her not as a CEO or a disabled woman, but simply as a human being. He didn't rush to impress her or avoid her pain. He acknowledged her strength. Without mentioning her weakness, slowly, almost against her will, her beliefs began to crack. This unexpected meeting challenged everything she thought she knew about people. For the first time in years, she felt seen not as a symbol of power or tragedy, but as a woman who still had a heart capable of feeling. And in that quiet moment, a fragile spark of hope was reborn. Asterisk the meeting had started with tension and judgment. She, the paralyzed CEO, was accustomed to people fawning over her status or avoiding her pain. He, the humble mechanic, seemed out of place in her polished world. Their worlds could not have been more different, and at first, the contrast only deepened her skepticism. She braced herself for pity, awkward conversation, or even disappointment, but none of that came. Instead, he spoke with honesty, simplicity, and a quiet confidence that caught her off guard. There was no pretense in his words, no attempt to impress her, no judgment of her disability or her authority. He treated her as a person, not a title or a tragedy. That sincerity was unfamiliar, but somehow comforting. Each small gesture, a thoughtful question, a gentle laugh, a patient pause began to chip away at the walls she had built over years of pain and distrust. She found herself smiling at things she hadn't in years, a subtle joke he made, the way he listened with genuine interest, the ease of his presence. It was startling to realize how heavy her heart had been, and how much she had missed genuine human connection. With each passing moment, judgment slowly gave way to warmth, and cautious curiosity transformed into something deeper, trust. By the end of the encounter, something remarkable had shifted. The powerful CEO who had resigned herself to a life of isolation felt a glimmer of hope, a spark of joy she thought was gone forever. She realized that life had a way of surprising even the most guarded hearts, in the most unexpected place. A blind date gone wrong, she discovered that connection, laughter, and even love could return. And it was in this unlikely meeting that her world began to change, reminding her that sometimes the most extraordinary bonds are formed where we least expect them.